Okie dokie, in this video we're going to look at delay or echo, so what it is, what it does, how you can use it and what its parameters are. So I'm just going to pop into my audio effects here and grab a delay. I'm just going to take the echo for now, so I'm going to pop in stereo. Now there really is no difference between an echo and a delay, other than the name. And what they do, they kind of replicate that sound of being like underneath a bridge or in a tunnel, where you get that sort of echo, 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 echo effect going on. So on this echo, there's really only a few parameters. We've got the dry and wet, so the dry being the original signal, the wet being the delays or the echoes. We've got our note value here, so this is the timing of it. So for instance, I could put that into eighths, into 16th dotted, 8th triplets, 16ths, all the way up to 16th triplets, and the longest I can have it is 1/2 dotted, so half of a bar. I'm going to pop this into eighths. Let's go with 8th dotted actually, because I quite like that. And I'll just turn the feedback and the colour all the way to nothing. And we'll just listen to this without and with the echo. So without the echo. And then with the echo. So you can hear it's repeating what's being played into it. I'm going to turn down the wet mix here a little bit and we'll add in some feedback. Now what feedback is here is how much of the signal goes back into the delay. And what that results in is how many delays or echoes or repeats we hear. So if I pop that up to about 36%. So we can hear we're getting about 4 or 5 different repeats there, whereas with 0 we're only getting the 1. Let's try this up a bit higher, up about 70%. So you can very quickly start to get these really bouncy, bubbly textures. So that back to about 50%. Now colour on this one is quite a cool parameter. With it upwards in the positives, it's going to lose low frequencies as it repeats. So we'll hear this, it should sort of vanish up into the ether. I'll have a bit more feedback actually. Turn that down a little bit, it was just disappearing a little bit fast, so let's listen to that again. So you should be able to hear that them repeats get thinner and treblier as they repeat. Let's pop it into the negatives, about -35. And these should get duller as they repeat. Wicked. Now that's kind of the basics of it. We'll look at one of the different delay effects though. So pop on the tape delay. So with a tape delay, we've actually got the option as to whether to have this in milliseconds or tempo synced, where we have our note values, our rhythmic values. So I'll pop it onto 1/8 dotted, and we'll see. Now what I tend to recommend is not using this knob in the middle here, because we'll see that even though I'm on 1/8 dotted there, I've got a +3% deviation. So that means it's going to go out of time. So if I just Alt and click on that, put it back to 0, we've got a perfect 1/8 dotted. Now I've got some high and low cuts here, so similar to the colour, but a little bit more precise. Got my feedback up here. also got a little bit of clipping that I can introduce. And some spread. So that's spreading out in the stereo field. Within the tape delay, I've also got some modulation that I can introduce, so let's put upon an LFO. Give it some intensity, some flutter as well, and again, some flutter intensity. We should hear that starts to sort of modulate the sound there, give it a bit of a wobble. It was a little bit much at them first parameters, wasn't it? Up at like 50%. So that's the tape delay. Again, very, very similar to the echo, just a few extra little bits. And then we've also got in here, up on the stereo delay, where we've got individual delays or echoes for the right and the left. So let's leave the left on quarter. I'll pop the right on eighth dotted. You'll see we've got this deviation here again, so we'll leave that at 0%. Feedback we'll have about 70% on each channel. Thereabouts where we've had it previously. And we can actually cross-feed these to each other. So let's just introduce a little bit of this to give it a bit more bouncing between the left and right. And let's have a listen to that. Let's just compare that without the crossfeed. So rhythmically much more simple without the crossfeed. Let's just compare that again. Now what's happened there, the reason we could hear that delay getting louder, is if I swap back to the tape delay, if we take this feedback beyond 100%, it will actually keep on going and get louder. So if I just play the very first note of this piano with 105% feedback, that delay isn't going to get quieter, it's just going to get louder. It's going to add 5% of its volume each time. So let's see that level there creeping up and gradually getting distorted. So let's take that off. So, how do you use delay? Delay is a creative effect. So for instance, on this piano here, if I swap back to the stereo delay, quite liked it with the eighth dotted, little bit of crossfeed, a little bit more feedback than this, not quite so much on the wet and dry. Play it off, and then pop it on. It just makes that sound a bit more interesting compared to a completely dry piano. So yeah, delay is a creative effect. It's there to add texture, add a bit more rhythmic interest to your sounds.